We're taking a closer look at President Trump's 50% tariff on Brazil and what that means for the cost of coffee.
President Trump says he plans to impose a 50% tariff on goods made in Brazil.
The amount of the tariff is so large that it's going to really affect the price of the coffee.
America thought tariffs would pressure Brazil. One signature, one political move, and Washington believed it could force the world's largest coffee exporter back into line. Instead, the attempt to control the market triggered a chain reaction that flipped the global coffee trade upside down. And the most unexpected player to step in wasn't a producer, wasn't a tropical giant, it was Canada. The moment U.S. tariffs hit Brazilian coffee, the entire supply chain shuddered. American importers panicked. Contracts froze. Shipments idled at ports, waiting for clearance that never came. For the first time in decades, U.S. buyers couldn't guarantee their own supply. Prices surged, cafes hiked their rates, and ordinary Americans felt the shock in their morning cup. But Brazil wasn't shocked. It was disappointed and done. Done relying on an unpredictable buyer. Brazil didn't need the U.S. to survive. The world needs Brazil. And Brazil proved that instantly. Instead of waiting for America to clean up its mess, Brazil picked up the phone and called every stable partner it had. China responded first with massive orders. Europe followed with long-term contracts. And then came the country no one expected to play such a pivotal role. Canada doesn't grow coffee. It can't. The climate is too cold. But Canada buys coffee reliably. And unlike the US, Canada doesn't weaponize its imports. No sudden tariffs, no political surprises, no economic threats. Canadian importers saw an opening. America was stuck in a tariff war. Brazil needed dependable buyers. Canada needed steady supply. So quietly but decisively, Canada stepped forward. Coffee shipments originally destined for American ports began changing direction. Instead of heading into U.S. political gridlock, they sailed north to Vancouver, to Montreal, to Toronto. And every Canadian delivery reminded Brazil that stability still existed, just not in Washington. Canada didn't become a producer. It became something far more valuable, a dependable buyer in a moment when reliability was rare. While U.S. prices spiked, Canada locked in imports. While U.S. shelves emptied, Canada secured its supply lines. While the U.S. wrestled with its self-inflicted crisis, Canada built one of its strongest trade positions in years. Brazil quickly recognized a simple truth. Why risk your exports on a country that changes policy overnight when you can work with partners who value consistency? And once that realization settles in, it doesn't fade. Even when the U.S. eventually rolled back the tariffs, the trust was already gone. Brazil had found new, safer markets, and Canada had earned a seat at the table, not through power, but through stability. This shift wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't the kind of moment politicians argue about on live TV, but it quietly, steadily, and permanently reshaped the global coffee trade. America tried to use tariffs to show strength. Instead, it exposed its own vulnerability. While Americans paid more for the same cup of coffee, Canada enjoyed stable supply, stronger partnerships, and a new role in a market the U.S. once considered untouchable. The U.S. wanted dominance, Canada wanted something more valuable, Brazil's trust. In a world where supply chains can collapse overnight and politics can destabilize entire industries, trust is everything. And as coffee routes shift, prices rebalance, and Brazil diversifies its buyers, one thing is clear. Canada didn't grow a single coffee bean, but it grew into one of Brazil's most reliable partners.